Boccaccio was born in 1313 in the small town of Certaldo near Florence. His father was a merchant who tried to immerse him in the study of commerce and law. However, Boccaccio found trade and law boring and secretly devoted himself to writing poetry and stories. In his youth, he became deeply infatuated with a noblewoman while mingling with the aristocratic society in Naples. She became the model for the character, Fiammetta, in his works. Representing a love that was never realized in reality. He maintained a lifelong correspondence with another master of Renaissance humanism, Petrarch, continuing their academic and humanistic exchange. The two respected each other's works, and Boccaccio regarded Petrarch as a mentor. When the Black Death swept through Florence in 1348, he witnessed the devastation firsthand. This experience became the backdrop for the Decameron, and served as a catalyst for satirizing human nature and the hypocrisy of society. In his youth, he wrote many secular and romantic works, but as he grew older, his writing took on a more religious tone. In fact, he even received a clerical position from the Vatican. However, he is still ironically remembered as a clergyman who criticized the church because of works like the Decameron. He passed away in his hometown of Certaldo in 1375. And his tombstone bears an inscription meaning, "Pioneer of Humanism." At that time, people referred to him as one of the three crowns of Italian literature, alongside Dante and Petrarch. In 14th century Italy, the streets of Florence were filled with the shadow of death. The Black Death swept through the city, causing countless people to fall, and the church had to show the way to salvation. But the reality was different. Clerics were rather abusing their power and were filled with greed and vice. People were well aware that the church was more interested in filling its own pockets than conveying God's will. In such an era, Boccaccio writes, the Decameron. On the surface, it seems like a simple collection of stories, but if you look deeper, sharp satire is hidden within. For example, the first story, Esser Cephalus. He was a villain who lived his whole life through deceit and lies, but just before dying, he presents himself as a saint in confession. The priest believes his words wholeheartedly and holds a grand funeral for him. In the end, people even believe that miracles happen at his grave. While the reader bursts into laughter, they also feel the message of how futile it is to believe in holiness based solely on appearances. There is another famous story. In the second story of Day 1, a Jewish man named Abraham contemplates converting to Christianity and goes to Rome to observe the Vatican. However, what he saw there was the corrupt lives of the clergy, along with greed and corruption. He rather thinks this way. If Christianity still thrives despite such a corrupt system, it must be a true power of God. This paradoxical conclusion provides readers with great laughter while sharply criticizing the hypocrisy of the church. Boccaccio's ability to write such stories is related to the social atmosphere of the time. The Black Death shook the existing order, and people began to question the authority of the church. The sight of clergy fearing death and refusing to care for patients, or instead charging money to conduct funerals, fueled people's distrust. Boccaccio did not attack this directly, but instead presented it through interesting stories and satire, allowing readers to realize it for themselves. Ultimately, the Decameron was not just a simple entertainment piece, but a work that showcased the transition from the Middle Ages to the Renaissance. By realistically depicting human desires and hypocrisy, it criticized the church institution and blind faith. But at the same time, he also conveyed the hope that humanity can overcome crises through wisdom, love, and laughter.